Greta Murray, and I am super excited for you guys to not only hear her story, but to hear, um, her tips and tricks. So she is someone who has actually impacted my business, even though she didn't know it, from the time I started. And I'll go into that a little later. I want her to share her story with you first, and then I will share with you how she has been so impactful to me, and why I wanted to share her so much and share her knowledge with you guys. So, Greta, if you just want to just share your story of how you got started in the business, and just your It Works story, and then we'll just wing it. We'll go from there.
Okay, perfect. Wing It is my middle name. Okay, so I'm Greta Murray. I'm a Presidential Diamond with It Works, and I've been in the business for just about 2.5 years now. I started in March of 2013 after asking questions for over 7 months of my sponsor. Like, she would hear from me a little bit, and then I would kind of get ghost on her for a while, and then she would hear like a couple more questions, and then I just was kind of ruled by my skepticism at the time. I thought the wraps were too good to be true. I thought there's no way she's making this money. And I was kind of a hater, like, for a long time. We knew each other. Our kids had play dates together. We were in this mom's group together. And I just remember, like, whenever she wasn't there, we would be, like, talking about her a little bit and be like, that girl with those weird wraps. But in the back of our mind, like, as we're all like, that's so weird what she's doing, every single one of us.
Uh-oh, we might have lost Greta. All right, I'm going to see if I can go find her real quick.
I don't know.
I think I froze it when I got on there.
Okay,
okay, yeah, we lost you for a second. So we heard that just about the part where, even though, like, you guys were all kind of like hating on, like, this girl's weird, you all secretly were curious.
Absolutely. Like, we would talk about it and be like, those wraps can't work, and we'd be like, she's not making money. Like, she always came to play dates with her t-shirt on, like, it works. We were just kind of like, there's no way. Like, that's so weird. But I wasn't even the only one secretly asking her questions either. And then I remember, like, honestly, I can, like, still picture the picture that she posted one day, and it was a picture of her car. She had just left the grocery store, and it was a picture of her trunk completely filled with groceries. And I was like, and she said, like, thank you, Wrap Cash. Like, I went to the grocery store completely stress-free. And 2.5 years later, even, I've never forgotten that picture, because that was like, if I could just go to the grocery store and not have to stress when she's scanning each item, like, that anxiety in your tummy, like, when she's scanning each item and you're like, oh my God, what this is going to be, and you're like watching the number go up, and you're like, please let my card swipe, and like, please
don't decline. Oh, yes.
Gosh, I was like, every time I was at the store, and I have 2 kids, so, like, it wasn't cheap going to the grocery store, and I was always trying to cut corners, and I just remember her posting that picture of her trunk full of groceries, and I was just thinking, if I could even just get there, this is worth it to me to try. If I could just have grocery money to kind of supplement, like, our income, like, even that, I was thinking, we've all seen the income charts, and I would think, there's no way, like, that right side of the chart could be anybody. But, like, those little numbers, maybe, and so that was kind of what I was like, all right, like, I'm pretty sure I could at least make some grocery money. And so I had tried a wrap, not from her, though, because I didn't even want her to know that I had tried one. So I bought it from, like, some lady, I don't even know. She was selling them on swap shops, which we all know now you can't do. But she was selling them on the swap shop, and I was like, I didn't know, so I just bought one from her. And let me just tell you, she never followed up with me, never asked me how my wrap was, like, nothing. Just a little tidbit there, so you never know. Like, she could have a Presidential Diamond on her team now, and she never called me back. But not the point. So Trisha didn't even know that I had tried a wrap. And I remember when I was trying my first one, and I was home alone, and I made sure of it, because I was like, this is so embarrassing if this does not work. And, like, I didn't want my husband to be like, what are you doing? So I was home alone. I put the wrap on. I took my before picture beforehand, And the whole time I was wearing it, I was drinking my water, and I was thinking, this is like this. I'm going to take this off in an hour, and no change. Like, I just already know it. But I was thinking, like, if this does actually do what it says that it does, then this business might do what it says that it does too. And so the whole time I was sitting there, like, my wheels were kind of turning, and I was like, all right, but we'll see. And I took my wrap off, and I put my pictures side by side, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I called my mom, and I texted the pictures to my sister-in-law, and I just started telling people, and that's when I was like, hang on, like, this is how easy it is. People get results, and they start talking about it. And people try these products, and you can't, like, if you find, like, a magic wrap that shrinks your tummy, like, you tell people. So I was like, that's how easy this business could be, just word of mouth. And I was thinking, I think I could probably sell these. So then I had moved on to thinking I could probably sell these to people. I think I definitely know people who would use this, but I don't think anybody would, like, sell these with me because, like, it was weird enough for me, you know? Right. And you know how you kind of, especially when I first started, I really prejudged people, and I just assumed that no one would want to sell skinny wraps with me because of how long I was like, I am not doing that. Right. So I was kind of like, all right, but I think I could sell a few and $25 each. Like, I could make grocery money. So that's kind of how it started. And then a couple of girls that were in the moms group with me together all ended up joining my team. And as I started posting about it on Facebook, people I would have never even considered would need this or want this started inboxing me, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, maybe I'll up my goal to ruby. You know, and I was thinking maybe I'll go for that because I think I could do this. And really it just I've just used Facebook a lot, and it just took off. And I just remember I went diamond in 3 months, and I earned the $10,000 good bonus. I went double in 6 months, triple in a year, and then it took me another year from then to get to presidential, so I think like 24 or 25 months. And every single time I promoted, I just remember thinking, like, I cannot believe it. Like, I started for $300, $400, and when I went diamond, I was like, this is crazy. And every single time I've just been like even still, every time our commissions post, I'm like, how is this, like, real life though? And we do this just from helping people and, like, having fun with our friends. I'm like, it's crazy, and I never take it for granted. And the two kind of turning points in my business were, the first one was the month after I started, there was a boot camp in Dallas. It was kind of like when we used to do mini conferences. It was a boot camp, and it was like a couple thousand people, kind of like how the green carpets are. Mm-hmm. And my sponsor was like, you have to go to this. Can you see me? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Sorry. You looked a little choppy, so I was scared I was too. My sponsor was like, you have to take the wrap cash that you made. Oh, okay, good. That's good. She's like, you have to get to Dallas. And I remember being like, I just made $500. I'm not spending it on a trip to Dallas. Like, that seems crazy. Like, you know how badly I needed this $500? And I told her no. And she was like, I think it'd be really great for you. There's another one coming up, though, in Atlanta. Promise me you'll try to get there. And I was like, okay. And while everybody was in Dallas, my daughter, for the one and only time she's ever had to go to the emergency room, had to go while I should have been in Dallas. And I had that $500. And when they told me that our emergency room deductible was $500 and I had it in cash, that's when I was like, I will never quit this. Like, I would have never had $500 any other.
Chills.
Never. Like, and I always tell people, God knows what you need before you even know that you need it, because the exact amount of money that I needed was the exact amount of cash I had in my pocket. And I just remember being like, I wouldn't have had that. And if I could even just make that or any kind of little cushion for our family, like, we need me to not give up on this. And then I did end up going to the next event in Atlanta, and honestly, that event changed my entire life. I went, I flew there by myself. I stayed in a hotel by myself. I can't remember what rank she was at the time. I had one girl fly in and meet me, and I had like a airline voucher that I gave her because I was like, you have to come. Like, if I'm going, you're going. So she flew in and met me. We went, and I just remember sitting there, like, looking at her over the course of the weekend, just like, can you believe this? Like, we were just watching all the stories on stage, and you have goosebumps the entire weekend. I was crying. I was like, who is this person? Like, because I told Trisha when I started, I was like, okay, like, I'll do this, and I'll, like, post on my Facebook, and I'll have parties, but I'm not wearing green, and I'm not, like, painting my nails sparkly, and I'm not, like, going to be like that it works girl. And now, like, obviously I, like, live it, breathe it. But I just remember I was, like, crying, and I was like, I don't even recognize myself. This is so crazy. And we were so filled up from that weekend. And I remember they asked us to write down on a piece of paper what our goals were for the end of the year. And I wrote down triple diamond. And the girl on my team, Jamie, who came with me, wrote down black diamond. And I was like, what are you doing? And she's like, they said dream big. Like, I'm writing down black diamond. And I was like, all right. So I upped mine to presidential. But I was like, I just remember feeling like before I went to that event, like, I knew my sponsor, and that was kind of it. And you feel a little crazy. Like, you feel like you're in this world that people don't understand. And I felt a little crazy. And I felt like after I went, I was like, I was just in a room with 3,000 people who believe this like I do, who are going to work hard like I am. And just, like, something happens when you go to events like that. And, like, I could not get home fast enough. I was like, I need to get home and work my business. Like, I couldn't even get home fast enough. So those two things were really, like, defining moments in my business, and they both happened in the first, like, 2 or 3 months that I started. And I just remember, like, I honestly even still think if I hadn't gone to boot camp in Atlanta, I could say for pretty near certainty I wouldn't have gone diamond in those first 3 months. And, I mean, you just never know. Like, it really was that life-changing for me just getting there. So that's kind of a little bit about my story.
Yeah. I agree. Oh, hang on. I'm getting back. Even tell people when I first went to the conference, I had Ruby. I had no idea what I was doing, and I didn't believe in myself. And I always thank Jackie Sandaker, because it was only her belief in me that, you know, I was always like, it's not possible for me to even get one distributor. And the fact that she was like, but you can. I was like, well, she believes in me, so I'm just going to ride on her belief. And I totally did. And, you know, when I went to conference, I was enjoying the business, and I was at Ruby, but I still had no confidence. And, I mean, not any confidence at all. And when I left conference, I mean, I went diamond. We left on the 18th, and I went diamond the end of that month, and it was what really changed the course of my entire business. And and then I went double soon after. And I honestly, like, I always tell Joe, I'm like, I would like to believe I would still be in this business even if I wouldn't have gone, but I'm not sure, because as much as we love what we're doing, like, we all value, as well, like, the income we're receiving off of it. And at the time, I was still working 2 jobs. I still had my business, and I still worked at a salon full time. And so, if I wouldn't have gone diamond, and if I wouldn't have gone to conference and seen and believed and, like, learned and, just caught the vibe, I don't know if I would still be in this business, because I don't know if I definitely know I wouldn't have gone diamond that month. I definitely know I wouldn't have, received the income I needed to receive so quickly. And so it's like, who's to say? I mean, I would like to think that I would be, but I don't know. So I always try to stress to people how important events are. So I love that you shared that.
Trisha, my sister, she's a Presidential Diamond, and she bought her conference tickets when she was 16 in business, and she had heard all the calls, and everybody had said, if you're curious about it, we'll get to this event. So she bought her ticket, and then between the time of buying her ticket and when conference actually came about, she was kind of over it, and she was like, I'm not doing well. She didn't want to admit to her husband that she was going to quit, because she had already spent every penny that they had on getting to Florida. So she was like, literally her plan was to just go to Florida and then quit when she got home, so she wouldn't have to hear it from her husband about how she spent all this money on a trip and then wasn't even going. But in her brain, she was like, I'm done. This isn't for me. I'm not good at this. I think she had gotten a Ruby and then lost rank, so she was back down to executive. She said her checks were like barely anything, and she really had resolved to just give up. but she was like, I already bought this trip. I'm just going to go. And she went, and she was double diamond 60 days later. And she was about to walk away. And it's like, that makes me want to cry too. And like, if she would have quit, like, not just for her and her family. I'm only one of her personally enrolled people, and we have a team of 1,700 people. None of those people would. It's like it blows my mind if she would have quit. I'm like, and then not to mention what it's done for her and her family, which is incredible in its own right. But just all the people who wouldn't have had this opportunity if she would have quit, and it's because she went to conference.
Oh, I agree. I always look at, like, oh my gosh, what if Jackie would have never offered this to me, because we were in such a bad situation financially. And, when I went to conference, Sarah, oh gosh, I always forget her married name now, Sarah McKinnon.
Yeah.
Sarah O'Connell. And, she would just like ride me, and she'd be like, Caitlin, if you really want to change your finances, if you really want to stop stressing about this, she's like, you'll find a way to get to conference. And she's like, put on a credit card. And I'm like, I don't have credit cards. I'm like, I can't do that. And she's like, find a way to get there. She's like, sell reps. She's like, do what it takes. And she had zero sympathy. And I mean, like, not even like, I get it. She's like, no, like, you want to make money. You want to make this series cash. You want to change your situation. You're going to get there. And I talked to my husband about it, and he was just like, if this is going to make the series cash, he's like, then we'll find a way to make it work. And I remember I was like, oh my God, we had the Christmas bonuses at that time, and I thought for sure I was going to get this Christmas bonus. And then last minute, one of my distributors canceled her account, and I didn't get my Christmas bonus. And I was like, ah. And so we actually took the money that we were going to pay our mortgage with and bought my plane. I mean, it wasn't, of course, the entire amount, but a portion of it, and bought my plane ticket to conference. And, and my husband was like, it's going to work out. We'll work it out. And even if we're, 1 month behind on our mortgage, like, if this triples your business, he's like, we'll catch up. And, I ended up selling wraps and everything, and it all ended up working out. I paid my mortgage on time. But I think it was that fire that I was like, okay, well, I need to make this happen. Like I just spent this money from my mortgage. I need to make that money back because I can't lose my house. And, I went, and obviously it paid off astronomically. But I remember like that being just drilled into me, and just thinking of it like, this is an investment. Like, I have to get there. This is an investment, and it absolutely was. So I love hearing other stories like that. So tell me, like, what have you done to grow your business? What do you say when you're trying to get potential distributors, and how do you reach out to them? How do you reach out to people? What's your kind of dialogue with them? Kind of go through that with us.
So I always have a running list at all times. I try to update it and add to it all the time. And then I also have a chicken list. You got one of those?
Oh, yeah.
It's like all the people who I wish were in my business that I'm still just a little bit scared to talk to. So I have both of those lists running, and I actually force myself to contact one person on my chicken list every week, because if I don't force myself, I won't do it. But I also think, I think back about that post of Trisha's that got me, and I always tell people why did you join this business? What got you interested? What caught your eye? What drew you to it? And then think about the people that you know, and think about the people that maybe need that too. And especially when you're using your social media, posting things that kind of tug at people's heartstrings a little bit. Like that grocery post was like I wanted to cry about it. And it's funny too, because Corinna, she's a Presidential Diamond too, she remembers that post as well. And that was one of the things too that she was like, I needed that. And that completely drew me in too. So if you think about the people that you know, make a list of them, really get genuine about it, and think about why they might need this, what this would do for them. I hate blanket messages like, hey, there's a Ruby bonus right now, join my team, That doesn't do anything for anybody. That doesn't attract anybody, unless they want $500. And a lot of times, you know, like we talk about the color personalities a lot, and a lot of times people aren't necessarily driven just by money. There's other things that drive people, and I think you usually come from a place of what drives you, and I think it's important to remember that that's not the same for everyone. I have people on my team who just like to come to like our get-togethers, and they'll tell you like, I just like hanging out with you guys, and that's it, and that's all they're here for. And it's like they'll work their business a little and they use the products, but they just want to hang out. And it's like there's other people who really do just want to be in this business to help other people. And if you can really think about the people that you know and get personal with it, you'll be way more successful than just, you know, posting like join my team for $99, that kind of thing. So I'll make a list of people. I'll write down like different kind of characteristics about them, and then I'll send them an honest message, and I'll say, hey, I've been thinking about you. I don't know if you've ever considered joining my team before, but you're on my dream team list, and here's why. And I'll tell them all the specific things for them that isn't just, you know, generic, and try to make it like as personal as possible, and tell them all the reasons why you genuinely think they would be good at this. And I think that's always more successful than just, you know, slapping something up and hoping it sticks. So I love
that. I love that.
Just like show what the business is doing for you, and you don't have to be a diamond or a double diamond or a triple diamond to be impacted by your business. I mean, if you're wrap casting, fill up your gas tank, talk about that. Like people need that. And like celebrate the small victories like that too, because they really do add up and they really do matter to people. And maybe somebody couldn't afford their gas today, and that's going to be the one thing that they think about when you're posting that you just sold a wrap and filled up your tank, or you just sold a wrap and bought a box of diapers, and maybe you know a mom who can't afford her diapers. So it's just stuff like that. Show what it's doing for your life and really get personal with people.
I love that, because I know when I started this business, I felt like I didn't have the backing, I didn't have the story, I didn't have the income to get people involved. And so I just kind of went about it as like, I have no idea what I'm doing, and I just see all these people who are making a great life for their families, and you know, I need a change. Like what I'm doing is not working. And so I took that approach. But what was flawed in my thinking was thinking that I needed that backing, because what you're saying is what people relate to. You know, like when I started, I was on a $40 a week grocery budget, and that had to include diapers. I mean, that had to include everything. And so, like, talk about stress. Like, I felt like I needed to become anorexic so our family could survive. And it was beyond stressful. And so I wish I would have known to share those things and to say, like, you know, look at the wrap cash I got. Look, I was able to buy this. Like, you know, I will never forget the first time my husband and I didn't eat out for 2 years. And I mean, like, didn't even eat like a fast food meal for 2 years because we couldn't afford it. And I mean, I was crying the first time. This is so silly. The first time we actually got Panda Express. And I was just crying because I was like, I can't believe, it's silly, but it's Panda Express, and I can't believe we can actually afford this. And so, but I didn't share those things because I felt like if I shared that, then people would think like, oh, you're excited you can afford Panda, you know, and it's not the case. Like, people do relate, you know, people relate to not being able to afford groceries, or to stressing over it, or not affording daycare, or, you know, to never going shopping. And I think that no matter where you're at in this business, to just share honestly, like, what it's doing for you is going to be so impactful, because that's what people are going to relate to. They're not going to relate to, like, oh, you make, you know, $7,000, $10,000, $16,000 a month. You know, they look at that and they're like, yeah, whatever, you know, like.
As those numbers climb, people stop believing you. Like, no, it's true. But I still do, when you keep it modest and when you stay humble about it, and when you really do talk about those little things, those are the things people can relate to. And when you start talking about, you know, I don't know, like, I've seen like pictures, like people post a picture of another presidential or an ambassador, and they're talking about how they make $500,000 a year. And people who are already skeptical about our business and already doubting the whole thing, look at that as kind of like proof that there's no way. They're like, $500,000, yeah, okay. And it's like, but if you show somebody who just joined your team with Ruby in her first 60 days, that people can kind of wrap their brains around more. So I love that, just like keeping the goals small and keeping kind of what you share small too, because those really are the kind of things people relate to.
And now you said when you started this business, you were getting wrap cash. So now who were you wrapping? Because I know that you're not native to Arizona and you live in Arizona. So how were you finding people to wrap?
My first party was all my sister-in-law's friends. I didn't know anybody, like my launch party. I didn't know anyone. It was like her friends. That's not true. My one friend, Stephanie, came, but the one girl I knew in Arizona came, and she became a loyal customer. And everybody else there was a friend of my sister-in-law's she just kind of invited people for my sake. And then my second party was my other sister-in-law, and I met one of my rockstar DTs there, and I wrapped more people. And I'm trying to think who else my first couple of parties were. I tried, my kind of thing when I first started was, since I don't know that many people, I didn't want people to leave my party without booking a party or referring me to someone who would book a party. Because once they left my house, I didn't know them and I didn't know anybody that they knew. But I thought if I could offer for them, especially if they didn't become loyal customers, I would offer to wrap them again for free if they booked a party. So I kind of tried to keep the ball rolling that way, because I'm like, once these parties are over, I don't know anybody else. So I really tried to keep like linking a party to another party to another party. And I think that's pretty much how I got like the first few, just from hoping, trying to get people from the first parties to book another one.
And then with distributors, like we talked about earlier, most of yours are out of state. So how have you kind of kept up and helped your distributors reach their goals, especially being at a distance, and kept, I know we can't motivate people, we inspire them, but kind of kept them basically on track and like seeing like what they can do and, just focused on their own goals?
I was kind of blessed because one of my triple diamond legs is in Milwaukee, which is, first of all, it's my hometown. So it kind of worked out nicely because I could add people from my hometown all to the same group and they could all kind of have each other. But even more than that, the one girl that came with me to that event in Atlanta is the triple diamond in Milwaukee now. And she caught the vision and she took it home with her, and I'm really lucky that she did, because had she not, like, I don't even know in the beginning how I would have kept that team rolling without her kind of spearheading the whole thing, because we went to that event together. I think she joined my team like 6 days after I started. So we were both kind of like, we don't know what we're doing, but we're going to do this big somehow. We don't know how, but we're going to do it big. So I was really blessed that she was the one person that came to that event with me, and she went home, and she's never taken her foot off the gas pedal ever since that event. And so I was kind of lucky that she kind of heads up that team there. And then I do try to go home. We do like one team on missions there sometimes, but there's also, we'll set them up with sideline events that are going on. And then the way we've communicated is kind of evolved over the last 2.5 years, because we used to just Facebook chat, and I have a team page. And now there's like so many, like tonight, like there's so many more ways you can stay connected with people. And we Periscope, and I'll Skype with new distributors and stuff. And so now we're excited to start doing these Google trainings. But it's kind of evolved. And then it's also kind of different for each person. Like, some people love calling me and talking on the phone. I'm like not necessarily a phone person, but I tell them I will be for you. We'll text, just whatever kind of way you can stay plugged in. And then I really just push for everybody to come to big events like Green Carpet. We had a good amount of team there, and then conference is going to be really big this year. So
I cannot agree more that is the biggest, changer for anyone, is obviously being plugged in an event. So what is a day, like, what does your business look like daily, or like even going toward, like, when you're in a promotion month, because you've promoted really quickly. So what does your day-to-day look like for your business as far as what you do?
Even like okay, I have 2 little girls, so my mornings are like wild getting them ready. But before I even get up, I try to post something on Facebook and Instagram. John Eric taught us that most people within 15 minutes of rolling out of bed check their smartphone. So if you're missing that first in the morning post, you're missing nearly everyone on your social media, because that is the number one time when people check it. So I've kind of gotten good at that. I'll post something when I first wake up. I'll be a little crazy for a couple hours getting my girls off to school and stuff. And then I really just try to stay consistent throughout the day. I was nervous when I first started to post a lot on my Facebook, because I was like, oh, I don't want people to think like that's all I talk about, or I don't want people to delete me or get sick of me or whatever. And first of all, there's a way that you can make your posts without that happening. You know, I tell my team, like, before you post it, look at it, and does it look like an advertisement? And if it does, start over. This isn't, you know, John Eric told us too, I like quote him all the time when I'm talking about social media, but he told us too that Facebook is not like your broadcast to the world. It's not a place where you just get to like stand there and announce like what you want to say. And if you reel that back in and think of it more as a conversation, and how you want people to interact with you, you want people to like what you're posting, you want them to take value from the content. And he also says if you don't take a little bit more time to make your posts better, you're wasting all of your time. So like a lot of times people think, oh, I haven't posted today, I better put something up. And it's like, okay, well, now you got credit for putting something up, but did that do anything for your business? Did you attract anyone? Did anyone even read it, or did they scroll right by it? So I really try to be thoughtful in what I'm posting and make sure that, you know, if I think about it, like if somebody else posted this, would I read it? And if it was like a picture of my ThermoFit bottle with like a product description, would I read that? Probably not. Would I read it if it was a picture of like a selfie of me with my ThermoFit bottle, like all sweaty from the gym and some funny story about it? That I would probably read. So
Right.
I try to tell people to get more personal in what they're posting. Don't make yourself look like an advertisement, and just stay consistent with it. A couple posts a day. I do that. I have a running list of all of my newest distributors, so I make sure to, if I haven't heard from one in a while, or if we haven't really been connecting a lot, I'll kind of look through that list and be like, oh, Shelby, I haven't talked to her today. I'll send her a message, and just kind of stay connected. I like to post on people's walls, especially if they're going for a promotion, or if I know that they're maybe down about something. You know, a lot of times people will be like, oh, I had a loyal customer and she never signed up. And so days like that, like I try to go visit the pages of my team and just say something nice and mean it. That's the most important part, mean what you're saying. What else do? I check 2 reports is pretty much all I ever use in eSuite. I check my downline activity report to see kind of what's been going on, and I check my tree viewer to see like where everybody is with their volumes and stuff. The number one thing I think is, especially as you start promoting, you kind of forget that we're not in control. Like when we're setting our goals, we're not in control of how many loyal customers we sign up today, and we're not in control of who joins our team today. And so when I'm making my goals for the days and for the week, I make sure to make them things that I can control. So I can control if I message 10 people today. I can't say, oh, sign 2 loyal customers this week, because I don't know if it'll happen. But I do know that if I talk to 10 people every day, the chances are of maybe meeting that other goal is a lot better. So the most important thing, I think, especially when setting daily and weekly goals, is to only write down things that you can control. Because what are you going to do? Like at the end of the week, you didn't sign up 2 distributors, and then you're like, oh, I missed my goal. But it's like, if you talked 15, 20 people a day, if you blitzed 8 people a day, if you followed up with 3 people, like you're doing your part, and the rest is going to come if you keep doing that. So I try to kind of stress that.
That might be the most ingenious thing I've ever heard. That is seriously good.
And you don't want to discourage yourself and be like, oh, I missed my goal, and it's like you can't control that.
Yeah, and I think that we do tend to give ourselves goals that we can measure as far as like promotion and you know, but I think, you know, I know something that was like that really changed my business was when I stopped focusing on my promotion, and I just started focusing on everyone else on my team. And of course I was still working my business, I was still trying to do my steps to success, But when I stopped focusing on like, oh, this is what my goal is, and not that I mean, I always loved and cared about my team, but when I just turned the focus to like, this is what we need to do for you, you know, that's when my team stabilized. You know, that's when it was like, oh, okay, like I have a team of people who want this and a team who's strong, and that's when everything really changed. So I love the idea of goals that, you know, you can measure, goals that you can control. That is absolutely brilliant. I know we're getting close to the end, and I want Greta to give you some of her best nuggets, but real quick, I just want to tell you guys, the first time I ever saw Greta, I was brand new to this business, and so she was only, I think she was like 7 months in, and she was double diamond. So our leaders had created this page for potentials that potentials could be sent to, and Greta made a video for it, and I remember watching this video, and she was very shy.
And I was crying.
Oh, and she was crying, but she was so genuine. And I mean, and she was like, I knew I was gonna cry, you know, and it was like hearing her story, and she was talking just about how, you know, they were struggling and how much, you know, she was hesitant to join this business. And, you know, I could see like how shy she was. And even though I've always been kind of a louder, more outgoing person, how I felt about this business was what I saw with her. Like, so when other people would say, you know, like, but Caitlin, you talk a lot, but I wasn't that way with this business. And when I saw her, I was like, not only do I feel that's me, but I was like, I connect with that. Like, I totally connected with her story, and she was so genuine, and I saw what it did for her family, and I was just like, I was so motivated, I was so inspired. I was like, this isn't like some leader at the top that's like, yeah, it just works out, you know, go do it. I was like, I felt small, you know, I felt like this isn't possible, and I saw Greta, and I was like, I relate to her, and she does this, and she is so successful. And so it was very impactful in my business. And then I was so fortunate enough to actually get to spend a weekend with her at a leadership retreat. And she was like this amazing, like confident, just her presence. Like, she just has this amazing presence about her. And she is still, you know, the most genuine person you will ever meet. You know, she was still more than happy to get on a training with us tonight, but she wasn't the shy person that was timid to even make a video. The person I saw just 1 year later was this total boss babe. And so I wanted to say that just because I know that there are so many of us that when we start, we think that because we don't have a certain personality trait or because we don't have confidence, and we look at others and think, I could never do that. You know, when I started, I thought I could never have a party. So when you see someone like evolve like that, I want you guys to just all like let that resonate with you, that it doesn't matter like where you are or how you feel about yourself or your abilities in this business, that this business has this amazing way of changing you, of not even changing you, but of just like bringing out like your inner boss babe, bringing out this confidence and you know, just bringing out these characteristics in yourself that you would have never thought you would ever see. So I just wanted to say that real quick. And then Greta, for the last 5 minutes, I just want to turn it over to you and let you just share like all your best little nuggets with us, or, you know, pieces of best advice.
I wrote a couple things. Let me see. Okay, you kind of said like a little bit, because I think like when I went triple diamond, I kind of did what you were saying before, and I focused a lot on my next promotion, and I printed out my presidential chart, and I just looked at it and I thought, I need, you know, this many boxes, and I need this many at 400, and you forget that each one of those people is not just a 400 box in your life. Like, each one of those people can and should be so much more than that. And I really, like, I spent maybe 5 months after I went triple just really trying to fill my chart in. And then I don't remember who said it, but somebody was like, you are only as successful as the success that you cultivate. And I was like, oh my gosh, like these aren't just 400 boxes on my chart. Like if I could help all these people go ruby, that blows my chart out of the water. And so I really kind of reeled it back in and focused on each individual person. And I remember asking myself, like, how come I haven't enrolled anybody who's like really taken off since I went diamond, and what am I doing differently, and how, because I enrolled all my rock stars before I went diamond. So I was like, how do I, like, what am I doing? Like, what am I missing? Like, what am I forgetting? And I wasn't like in that mentality where every single person counted anymore. And it's hard for me to say that because, I mean, we should never feel that way, but it got away from me for a little while. And I just remember being like, when I only had a ruby chart with 5 boxes on it, those 5 people were the most important thing I could be doing for my business, was helping them reach success. And I think when your business starts to kind of spider web and you have teams everywhere and they're branching off and you can't really keep track of it anymore, I think it's easy to kind of get removed from the mindset that every single person on that chart like counts so much more than just for what you need them for. And so I started doing a lot of things differently. I know I need a battery. It's not. It's my house.
I was wondering if it was mine.
It's my house. I need a battery.
Oh, good, because I was like, dang it, Joe's gone tonight at a concert, and I can't change it.
No, I'm sorry. That is definitely mine.
It's fine.
But if you really focus on being a servant leader and making sure that you stay in tune with the goals of the people on your team and really spend your time helping each individual person, you can't help but be successful. There's no other choice. When you're helping all these people reach their goals, just naturally it's going to happen for you. And so there comes a time, I think, in everybody's business when it stops being about what you need and it starts being about what you can do for other people. And I promise the sooner that happens, the more successful you'll be, because the only way to be incredibly successful with It Works is to create that layered leadership, create strong leaders on your team, and the only way to do that is to pour into them. And I think, honestly, the sooner that you can remember that it's about all these other people, the better, because I feel like I did start out that way, and then I feel like at some point, I don't know, it got away from me. And I know that as soon as I took it back to every single person that I signed up acting like that person was going to make or break my personal Ruby chart, or that person was going to make or break me going diamond, because that's how I felt when I started. And when I really got back to that and breaking every single person down into their own thing, that's when I went Prez, and that's crazy to even think of that. So that's kind of my best thing. People forget that it's really important to use the product, so I always have to tell people, because they're like, how do you get loyal customers? And I'm like, what products are you using? And if they're like, well, I don't know, whatever it is, I'm like, you're never going to be able to sell somebody on something if you're not using it or loving it. So be a product of the product. For getting loyal customers especially, that's my absolute best tip. Use the products. It's so much easier when you actually drink your greens every day, or you're actually wrapping, or you actually love the skincare like I do, to talk about it. And people can tell if you're being genuine or not, and they can tell if you're just trying to sell them something, or if you're, if it's like a movie that you just saw and you really liked it and you want to tell someone about it. That's where our products should be coming from your heart, and from, I just tried this restaurant, they have the best pasta, you should go there. That's how easy it could be, but you can only do that if you're using the products. And then I kind of gave you my best social media tip and my chicken list. And I wrote down Trisha's groceries because I had to tell you about it. And then goals you can control. That's all I wrote.
I love it. No, that's I've been taking notes this whole time. I'm super excited because I have not only learned so much from you, so I know all the other girls have too, but I just think I'm so grateful that you got on this training. You had, like I said, you were so genuine. You're such a beautiful person. I just, it's
I'm here to help you. You know that. Whatever I can do.
you have inspired me in so many ways, and you didn't even know. And so, I just want everyone to kind of take that away as well. Is like, you never know who's watching you and who you're inspiring through your genuine story. Don't think that you need to be someone else. You don't need to act like me or, have a life like me. Be you, and that's who you're going to attract and inspire people. And, get to the events, get to conference, and look forward to all the amazing people like Greta that you will get to meet, because this really is one team, one mission. And it's Greta and I, we're not even on the same team. We're sideline. And how amazing is it that I can shoot her a message one day and just say, hey, I'm dying to get you on a training, and she will come share her knowledge. So this business has so much to offer, with friendships and everything else. Greta is someone I highly suggest that, check out her Periscope and her YouTube and all of that. Get every nugget you can from her. And if you guys have any other questions, we've got to actually get off the training, but you can shoot me a message or shoot Greta a message, and I'm sure we'll get those answered. So Greta, thank you so much.
I just adore you. Thank you for having me and teaching me how to use this whole new world of
Google. You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming to training this week, and we'll see you guys later. Good night.
Bye. Have a great week.